My toxic in-laws tried to sabotage my wedding to punish me for being successful. I fought back, and now they're cutting me off. As I sit here, sipping on a glass of well-deserved wine, I can't help but reflect on the whirlwind of a journey my husband and I have been on. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, challenges, and growth, but ultimately, it's led us to a place of greater strength, resilience, and unbreakable love. Our story began 8 years ago, when my now husband and I first crossed paths in college. We were both ambitious, driven students, laser-focused on our academic and career goals. I was studying business, dreaming of climbing the corporate ladder, while he was immersed in his engineering program, poised for greatness in his field. From the moment we met, there was an instant connection. We pushed each other to excel, celebrated each other's victories, and leaned on one another through the inevitable ups and downs of our rigorous coursework. By the time we graduated, we had formed an unbreakable partnership, graduating near the top of our respective classes. Immediately after college, we both landed incredible jobs at prestigious companies. I was quickly rising through the ranks, being groomed for management, while my husband was making waves as an innovative young engineer. Within a few short years, we had built a beautiful life together, buying a house, adopting some fur babies, and even starting to talk about the possibility of growing our family even further. We were the textbook definition of a young, successful, power couple. Or at least, that's how my in-laws, the Smiths, saw it. You see, the Smiths never really approved of me from the start. I come from a relatively humble, working-class background, while they are old-money aristocracy. They always had this air of superiority about them and treated me like some kind of gold-digging commoner trying to infiltrate their prestigious family. I tried my best to be the bigger person and kill them with kindness. I went out of my way to make them feel included, to show them that I genuinely cared about being part of their family. But no matter what I did, they always found a way to be cold, dismissive, or downright rude to me. Their snobbish attitude and open disdain for my commoner background was a clear indication that they would never see me as good enough for their precious son. When my husband and I got engaged, the Smiths' disdain for me only grew. They made it abundantly clear that they disapproved of the match and tried their hardest to convince my husband to call off the wedding. They would make snide, passive-aggressive comments about how I was trapping him, or how our relationship would never last. Now, my husband loves me dearly and has always had my back. He shut down their negativity every single time, making it crystal clear that he had made his choice and nothing they said would change that. But it still took a huge emotional toll on both of us. Planning a wedding is stressful enough without having to deal with that kind of toxicity from your in-laws. As the wedding date approached, the Smiths went into full-on sabotage mode. They started spreading vicious rumors about me to our friends and family, painting me as some sort of social climbing, money-hungry schemer. They even tried to convince my husband's grandparents not to attend the wedding, claiming I was using their grandson. Luckily, my husband's grandparents saw right through their nonsense. They refused to believe the Smiths' lies, and made it clear that they were thrilled to celebrate our union. In fact, they ended up being some of our biggest allies and supporters throughout the whole ordeal. But the Smiths didn't stop there. They then tried to get our wedding venue to cancel on us, citing some vague concerns they had. Thankfully, the venue owners saw through their blatant attempts at sabotage and refused to back out of our contract. They assured us that the wedding would go on as planned, no matter what the Smiths tried to pull. At that point, I was ready to call off the whole thing and elope. I didn't want to subject my friends and family to the Smiths' constant drama and nastiness. But my husband convinced me to stick it out. He assured me that he would handle his family and make sure our special day went off without a hitch, no matter what. And that's exactly what he did. On the day of the wedding, the Smiths were on their absolute worst behavior. They refused to participate in any of the traditional wedding activities, made passive-aggressive comments throughout the ceremony and reception, and even left the reception early in a dramatic huff. But my husband and I refused to let them ruin our day. We surrounded ourselves with the people who truly loved and supported us, our family, our friends, even my own humble but loving parents. We danced the night away, celebrating our love and commitment to one another. It was perfect, despite the Smiths' best efforts. After the wedding, the Smiths completely cut my husband and I off. They refused to speak to us, attend any of our family events, or acknowledge our relationship in any way. At first, I have to admit, I was actually relieved. I was tired of the constant drama and negativity. I was happy to have some peace and quiet. But over time, it started to take a real emotional toll on my husband. He's always been very close with his family, and the sudden estrangement has been really hard on him. There have been many times where he's broken down, missing his parents and wishing they could just be happy for us. It breaks my heart to see him hurting like that. I try my best to be supportive and understanding. I know that no matter how awful the Smiths have been, they are still his family. And the loss of that connection is something he's really struggling to cope with. We've had many long, emotional conversations about it, and I've encouraged him to seek therapy to help work through the pain. At the same time, I refuse to let the Smiths' toxicity back into our lives. They had their chance to be a part of our happiness, and they chose to try and ruin it instead. I won't subject myself or my husband to that kind of abuse anymore. My own mental and emotional well-being has to come first. We're now at a point where we're trying to move forward and heal. My husband has been seeing a therapist to work through the grief and pain of losing his family. And we're focusing on building an even stronger bond between the two of us, as well as strengthening the relationships with the family and friends who have supported us through this whole ordeal. It's been a roller coaster of a journey, but I can honestly say that we're in a better place now than we've ever been. The Smiths may have won the initial battle, but we're winning the war. We're happier, healthier, and more united than ever before. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. Looking back, I realize that the Smiths' behavior was a huge red flag that we should have seen sooner. Their snobbish attitude and open disdain for my commoner background was a clear indication that they would never see me as good enough for their precious son. But in the moment, it was so easy to get caught up in trying to win their approval, to prove that I was worthy of their family. I bent over backwards, constantly putting in more effort, only to have it thrown back in my face time and time again. It wasn't until after the wedding, when the Smiths cut us off completely, that I was finally able to take a step back and see the situation for what it truly was, a toxic, abusive dynamic that was never going to change, no matter how hard I tried. Looking back, I realize now that their behavior was a reflection of their own insecurities and prejudices, not any failing on my part. I am a smart, driven, caring individual who loves their son with every fiber of my being. I am worthy of love and respect, regardless of my family's financial status or social standing. The Smiths' refusal to see that, their inability to look past their own biases, is their own problem to deal with. Not mine. I refuse to let their toxicity continue to drag me down or undermine the beautiful life that my husband and I have built together. Of course, that's easier said than done. Healing from the emotional trauma of this experience has been a long, difficult process. There are still days where I find myself questioning my self-worth, wondering if I really am good enough. And watching my husband struggle with the loss of his family has been absolutely heartbreaking. But we're pushing through it, one day at a time. We're leaning on each other, our true loved ones, and our mental health professionals to get through this. And we're emerging stronger and more resilient than ever before. The Smiths may have won the initial battle, but they will never win the war. My husband and I are committed to each other, to our happiness, and to building the life we've always dreamed of. No amount of their petty sabotage or cruel rejection can take that away from us. In fact, in a strange way, I'm almost grateful for everything they put us through. It forced us to strip away the unnecessary noise and focus on what truly matters, our love, our partnership, our unwavering support for one another. It's made our bond even stronger and more unbreakable. So while I'll always feel a twinge of sadness over the family my husband has lost, I know that we're better off without the Smiths' toxicity in our lives. We've created our own beautiful family, built on a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and unconditional love. And that is worth more than any amount of old money or social status. I know that there are others out there who have gone through similar experiences with their in-laws. The pain of being rejected and undermined by the people who are supposed to welcome you with open arms is a unique kind of heartbreak. But I want you to know that you are not alone. My husband and I have found incredible strength and solace in connecting with others who have survived toxic in-law relationships. Hearing their stories, sharing our own struggles, and supporting one another through the ups and downs has been incredibly healing. It's a reminder that we're not crazy, that our feelings are valid, and that we deserve so much better than the abuse we've endured. It's empowering to know that we can choose our own family, the people who truly see us, value us, and love us for who we are. So if you're going through something similar, don't be afraid to reach out. Join support groups, connect with others online, or even just confide in a trusted friend or therapist. You deserve to have people in your corner, cheering you on as you reclaim your power and build the life you deserve. It won't be easy, and there will be setbacks along the way. But I promise you, it is so worth it. My husband and I have come out of this experience with an unbreakable bond, a deeper appreciation for each other, and a fierce determination to never let anyone diminish our worth again. We're living our best lives, unapologetically. And I hope that one day, you'll be able to say the same. Wishing you all the strength, courage, and self-love you need to get there. As for the Smiths, well, they can stew in their own bitterness and prejudice. They had their chance to be a part of our happiness, and they chose to try and destroy it instead. Their loss is our gain. We're thriving without them, and I wouldn't have it any other way.